Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to this Advanced Financial Management orientation session. Before I proceed, let me introduce myself. I'm Luqman Rafiq. I have been in teaching profession for more than 13 years now, and I have been teaching the different courses for the different qualifications. The courses that I have been teaching include the financial management, they include performance management, and they include financial reporting. I've been teaching these courses for the ACCA, for the ICAEW, for CIMA, and for the ICAP qualifications. My students, they have attained positions which is nationwide, which is global positions for different courses, including the reporting and the performance management and the financial management courses. Our agenda for the session of today is we are actually going to start discussing about this advanced financial management course that is being offered by myself, and we're going to discuss in detail that what exactly is the content of this advanced financial management course, plus what are the important syllabus areas and how exactly should you be preparing for the advanced financial management. So we're going to be discussing about all of these things. So let's just start discussing. The first thing that I want you people to understand is that when we talk about the advanced financial management course, you people already have an idea that the advanced financial management course basically has got a basic course at the fundamental levels of ACCA, which is the financial management course, financial management, which is FM. Now, when we talk about the financial management, which is FM, so this financial management of the FM course, what exactly have we studied in that course, and how exactly is that knowledge going to be tested at the AFM course? Let me just guide you people a bit. First of all, let's try to understand this thing, that when you talk about the financial management, there are some important areas at the financial management levels. And what are those important areas at the financial management level? That is the investment appraisal, the business finance, business valuation, the risk management, and the working capital management. So these are the syllabus areas at the FM level that are generally the common areas and that actually constitute the major part of the syllabus. When we talk about the AFM examination, I repeat, when we talk about the AFM examination, what you would actually expect under the AFM examination is that this investment appraisal is tested as advanced investment appraisal. This business finance is being tested as part and parcel of the restructuring. This business valuation is tested as mergers and acquisition. This risk management is actually being tested as the advanced risk management, and there is no testing of the working capital management area. So when I talk about the advanced financial management syllabus, it's a step up of the financial management syllabus that you have already covered up. Some of you would have gotten exemptions on the basis of your degrees. So if you have forgotten the financial management, or if you have actually gotten the exemptions, I would guide you that how exactly am I going to help you to overcome this specific problem of forgotten these things, or have actually come out of an exemption route. I'm going to guide you this. But let me just guide you that the advanced financial management syllabus is a top up of the financial management syllabus. So whatever that you have studied at financial management, that is examined in a bit more detail, in a greater detail at the advanced financial management level. I've got in front of me the syllabus guide, which is for the periods starting from September 2023 to the June 2024. Now let me just guide you about this syllabus guide, which is from the September 2023 to the June 2024. Let's start discussing about it. The first thing that I want you people to understand is that the advanced financial management syllabus as I told you that there are 4 major areas of the syllabus, and you could just see there in the syllabus also that there are these 4 major areas. What are those 4 major areas of the syllabus? Which is the advanced investment appraisal, which is the acquisitions and merger, corporate reconstruction and reorganization, and the advanced risk management techniques. So these are the 4 major areas of the syllabus, and then you could see this area, and you could see this area and this area, which is actually complementing these 4 areas of the syllabus. Now let's just start discussing, let's just start going about it. So the first thing is that I will just take you people through one by one of these syllabus areas, so that you could have a bit of an idea, you could actually have a bit of a greater understanding that what these syllabus areas are going to be. Now, the first important syllabus area that I am going to talk about of this AFM course is the advanced investment appraisal, is the advanced Now what exactly is this advanced investment appraisal? Let's try to understand, let's try to go about it. Basically, you know this thing that whenever as an organization we do a capital nature expenditure, I repeat that whenever we do a capital nature expenditure, so on the basis of that capital nature expenditure, you have to decide whether you should invest or whether you should not invest. Now, so what we do is that we evaluate that capital nature expenditure, that is it actually going to be helpful for us as an entity, or is it not going to be helpful for us as an entity. Now under this advanced investment appraisal, what are we actually going to be using is, we would be using the different techniques, and amongst those different techniques includes what? Includes the NPV technique, which is the net present value technique that you have already studied. Then there is going to be an advanced level technique of adjusted present value, which is also termed as APV. Then there is this another advanced level technique, then there is this IRR technique, and the advanced level technique of the modified IRR, which we also call MIRR. In addition to this, there are certain more areas that are part and parcel of this advanced investment appraisal, and that include what? That include the concept of free cash flows, that include the concept of option pricing. So these are also important areas that are part and parcel of the syllabus. So when we would be going about this syllabus area of advanced investment appraisal, what are we going to be covering? We are going to be discussing in detail that what are the things that we should be doing. What are the things that we should be doing in order, what are the factors that we should be considering before deciding whether we should invest or whether we should not invest. So this advanced investment appraisal is an area that's a top up from the investment appraisal of financial management, and there are more add-ons, there are more things that are actually part and parcel of it. So that's one area, which is the advanced investment appraisal. Now the second area of the syllabus is about the corporate reconstruction and the corporate restructuring. Let's just start discussing what a corporate reconstruction is, what a corporate restructuring is. When we talk about the corporate reconstruction and restructuring, there are generally 3 different types of reconstruction and restructuring scheme. And what are they? Number one of them is termed as financial reconstruction. The second one of them is termed as portfolio reconstruction. And the third one of them is termed as organizational reconstruction. Now what exactly is the difference between this financial reconstruction, portfolio reconstruction, and the organizational reconstruction? Let's just start discussing. When we talk about the different type of these reconstruction schemes, so what is reconstruction? Reconstruction or restructuring is actually simple terms What are you actually trying to do? You are trying to actually reorganize the organization, just that you can come out of the crisis, just that you can actually generate more money, just that you can actually earn more money. That's what you are actually trying to do. You get my point? Now, so there are three different types of reconstruction, and what are those three different types of reconstructions? That includes the financial reconstruction, that includes the portfolio, and the third one of them is organizational reconstruction. Now, what do you mean by financial reconstruction? Let's try to understand. At times what happens is that you have got a higher level of debt in the organization. So if you have got a higher level of debt in the organization, you would probably want to get rid of that debt. And if you want to get rid of that, you would probably go for the restructuring of finance. Maybe you would try to convert some of this debt into the equity. Maybe you would try to renegotiate the interest rate. Maybe you would try to renegotiate the repayment date or the repayment amount, etc., etc. So there could be a lot of things that could possibly happen when it comes to the financial reconstruction. So when we would be discussing about the financial reconstruction, we would be going through this specific scenario, we would be going through these specific things which would actually help us focus upon that how an organization could change its financial structure. What could be the different type of schemes that the organization could adapt, whether that be changing from debt to equity or going from equity to debt, or at times changing the form of equity. Maybe you might add on some preference shares and not just rely on the ordinary shares. Maybe with respect to the debts, you may have got long-term loans. You might convert some long-term loans into short-term loans. Maybe you just have got loans. You might want to issue some bonds. The bonds could be of different types, convertible, zero coupon, different type of bonds that you could go for as an entity. So this is what we would be discussing with respect to the financial reconstruction. Second thing is about the portfolio reconstruction. If I tell you the definition of portfolio, portfolio actually refers to your group of investments. Portfolio actually refer to your group of investment. So when you have got multiple investments, that is actually considered to be portfolio. I repeat, your group of investments is considered to be portfolio. Now try to understand this thing. Basically, what happens is that as an entity, as an organization, you might actually want to rearrange your organization's businesses, investments, exposures, and for that you might actually have to reconstruct your portfolio. Now, what do you mean by reconstructing the portfolio? Try to understand this. Maybe what could possibly happen is that you could convert yourself from maybe you have got investment in pharma, you have got investment in fertilizers, you have got investment in banks or other finance instruments, you have got investment in telecom sector, you have got investment in chemicals, etc., etc. There could be multiple type of investments that you could have as an entity. Now when we talk about the concept of portfolio reconstruction, the concept of portfolio reconstruction is going to be you are rearranging, you are changing your business's portfolio. You are actually reorganizing the portfolio. Maybe you might want to get rid of pharma, maybe you might want to get rid of the banks, maybe you want to get rid of the chemicals and focus just on the telcos and the fertilizers. So all of this thing which is enhancing the exposures into an industry, reducing the exposure into an industry, changing the way a business is being conducted, that is all considered to be portfolio reconstruction. So we would be discussing this and we would be talking that what a portfolio reconstruction is all about. Lastly, there is this organizational reconstruction, and when we talk about the organizational reconstruction, try to understand this thing. Basically, the concept of having this organizational reconstruction is that the organizational structure, the way the organization is organized, the way the organization is arranged. You can have tall structures, you can have flat structures, you can have network structure, you could have a divisional structure, you could have a functional structure, things like that. All of this is going to be considered as what? When you bring about a change to the way your organization is structured, when you bring about a change, the way your company is organized, that's called organizational restructuring. What is it termed as? Organizational restructuring. Now, so when we'll be talking about this corporate reconstruction and restructuring, what are we going to be discussing? We're going to be discussing that how an organization reconstructs itself, how an organization restructures itself. That is what we will be talking about. I'll move a bit forward and I'll discuss further, and I'll guide you that what other things are going to be there. The third specific area of the syllabus is about mergers and acquisitions. Now when you talk about the mergers and acquisition, try to understand this thing. You know this thing that if you as a business want to grow, there are two approaches for you to grow as a business. What are those two approaches for you to grow as a business? The two approaches include what? One of them actually include that you would go for the organic approach, which is to grow over time, and the second thing is that you would probably go for acquisition. Now when you go for acquisition of a business, when you go for acquisition of a company, what are the factors, what are the things that you would have to consider? Try to understand this thing. There are multiple factors that need to be considered, which is which company would you go for? The second thing that you would actually want to consider is that how much value would you assign to a business? The third thing that you would actually consider is the finance, the way you're going to finance that business. The fourth thing that you might have to consider is that are there any laws and regulations that you might actually have to focus upon. So there are going to be multiple things that you would have to consider. So when we talk about the acquisition of an organization, the acquisition has got multiple things. So when we would be, I repeat, when we would be discussing about this mergers and acquisition, we would be talking about a lot of things. What are those lot of things? Which is, which company are we going to be acquiring? At what value are we going to be acquiring? How exactly are we going to be financing this acquisition? What are the laws and regulations that we would have to consider? Now just try to understand something, which is when we talk about the value, so we would also be discussing the different methods, the different approaches of valuing the company. What are those different approaches of valuing the company? What are those different methods of valuing the company? The different approaches and different methods of valuing the company could be your asset-based valuation, could be your income-based valuation, could be your cash flow-based valuation. So there could be different types of valuations that could possibly exist. Now, when we actually talk about all of this, we would say that this is considered to be the different ways of valuing a business, right? So asset-based, income-based, cash flow-based, these are the different valuation methods. So when you acquire a business, what you do is that you plan out that how exactly the value is going to be established. So basically, when we talk about the concept of this mergers and acquisition, there is something that I want you people to understand, is that this is another important area of the syllabus, which is how mergers take place, how acquisitions take place, what is the difference between them, and how to value, how to finance, what laws and regulations to consider. All of this is going to be covered up. Lastly, there is this fourth area of the syllabus, which is, again, there are many other areas, but this is a core area of the syllabus, which is about the advanced risk management. Now when we talk about the advanced risk management technique, what are the factors that we need to consider? What are the things that we need to consider? Let's try to have an understanding. Basically, with respect to this advanced risk management technique, there are two aspects. What are those two aspects? Those two aspects is the currency risk management. Those two aspects are interest rate risk management. So what actually happens is that with respect to currency, you have got the exposure to the fluctuation in exchange rates, right? And with respect to the interest rate risk management, you could be a borrower, you could be a lender. I bet you could be a borrower, you could be a lender. And being a borrower, being a lender, there could actually be the differences in the interest rate risk. Being a borrower, your risk is that the interest rates are going to go up. Being a lender, your risk are that the interest rates are going to go down in the future. So you would probably want to hedge yourself against this. You have already studied these techniques at the financial management level, but at the AFM level, there are advanced level things that you would have to consider. There are advanced techniques that you would have to consider at the AFM level, right? So basically what we would be doing is that we would be also discussing and we would be also going about with these currency and the interest rate risk management techniques. That's what we are going to be covering. Now, let me guide you people a bit more. That as I told you that these are the syllabus areas, and when we talk about the AFM syllabus, I mean, like you see, there was this one area which is role of senior financial advisor, advanced investment appraisal, acquisitions, merger, reconstruction, reorganization, and treasury and risk management. And lastly, there is this professional skills. So now, I need to guide you people a bit about it, that basically what happens is that, ACCA has brought about a change to all the professional level papers, and the way ACCA has brought about a change is that now ACCA actually has introduced the 4 professional skills, and they've introduced 20 marks at multiple professional stage papers, including the SBL, the APM, the AFM, ATX, AAA, every single paper. They've specifically introduced 20 marks. I repeat, they've specifically introduced 20 marks. Now, what are those 20 marks specifically introduced for? Those 20 marks are specifically introduced in such a manner that you would be allocated 5 marks for communication, 5 marks for analysis and evaluation, 5 marks for skepticism, and 5 marks for the commercial acumen. Now, what are these things going to be and how are they going to impact you while you would be attempting the AFM paper? Let me just guide you people a bit. See, the AFM paper is examined in this manner, that you have got section A and then section B. With section A, what is probably going to happen is that there is going to be what? Section A is one question, and that is of 50 marks. Out of those 50 marks, the 10 marks are actually pertaining to professional area, and the 40 marks are actually technical area. So I repeat, one of them is basically 50 marks for the 50 marks for the question. Out of this, 10 marks are for the professional skills and 40 marks are for the technical skills. And when it comes to section B, you have got 2 questions of 25 marks each, gives you 50 marks. Again, out of these 50 marks, it's basically 2 questions multiplied by 5, so give you 10 marks for the professional and 40 marks are actually technical. The syllabus of AFM is examined in such a manner that you don't just have to go for the calculations. In addition to the calculations, you have got discussions that need to be made, and plus you got to demonstrate your professional skills also. I repeat, the calculations plus the discussions plus the professional skills, all of this need to be demonstrated. Now let's try to understand this thing. So that means in order to be good at calculations, you would have to practice more and more questions, and ideally on the spreadsheet, because ultimately the ACCA examination is going to be conducted on the spreadsheet. The second thing is about the discussions. And when we are going to be talking about the discussions are of two types. One of them are in general, and one of them are related to the scenario, are related to the calculations that you have done. So you could expect those calculations and those discussions also. And lastly, when we talk about the professional skills, let me just guide you each one of them, that what are these professional skills are going to be. So when it comes to communication, that means the examiner is expecting you to demonstrate good communication skills. Those good communication skills could be demonstrated through multiple things. What are those multiple things through which it could be demonstrated through? The way you present your answer, the way you communicate, the way you write down the answer, the way you argue, the way you put up your points. That's what the communication skills are going to be. The second thing is going to be, you would have what? You would have the skepticism. 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 मैं आपको ना करता हूँ 2 मिनट में ना क्लास एंड करके. So that is going to be skepticism. Now what is this skepticism going to be? When we are trying to talk about the skepticism, it's a questioning attitude. When you're being given information, when you're being given knowledge, so what you do is that you create some questions, you create some doubts. That's actually called the skepticism. The third one of them is basically the skill, which is called commercial acumen, which is when you are talking about things, your arguments, your suggestions should actually should be making sense commercially, should actually be profitable for the organization, should not be detrimental for the organization. That's what you're going to be doing. And lastly, there's this one more area, and what is that? That's actually the analysis and evaluation skills. Now what's this analysis and evaluation skills going to be? The analysis and evaluation skills is going to be under the given scenario. If you're being given some information, if you're being given some numbers, so how do you analyze the information? How do you evaluate that information? How do you create the ratios out of it? How do you interpret the numbers? That's called analysis and evaluation skills. So under these different parts of the question, the examiner expects you to demonstrate these 4 skills, and they have assigned marks pertaining to them. The good thing is that in the examination question, the marks are being allocated. In the examination question, the marks are actually being described, that which area, which activity, which thing is going to get how much marks. So basically when we talk about the whole concept is like this, that this is how the syllabus is examined. Now, for us to actually complete the AFM and for you to actually ensure that you are able to pass the AFM in the first attempt, there are few things that I would actually suggest. Number one of them is don't focus on parts. Focus on complete syllabus. Don't focus on parts. Focus on complete syllabus. That's the first and the foremost important thing. The second thing is that you need to practice. You need to cover the theoretical areas. And good revision. Good revision is the key. If you are not going to have good revision, that's a problematic situation. I repeat, good revision is the key. I repeat, good revision is the key. Now let's move a bit forward and let's discuss further. What is going to be our approach of delivering this AFM course? So our course is online blended. As you register with us, we give you recordings and we give you access to recordings. What happens is that you actually go through those recordings, and then there is a planner that's actually shared with you. You got to follow that planner and you got to prepare yourself according to that planner. The third thing that actually happens is that There's a weekly live class that we conduct. I repeat, there's a weekly live class that we conduct. The fourth thing that actually goes about is that there are dedicated WhatsApp groups. There is a process for you to submit the assignments and get those assignments marked. There are going to be live revision sessions in the last month before the examination. And all of this is actually going to be provided to you along with the mock examinations. So these are few things that are actually going to be part and parcel of the course. Now, let me just guide you people a bit. It's an online blended course with the planners being shared. The weekly live classes are there. You are being added to WhatsApp group. The assignments are there to be submitted. There are those live revisions, mock examinations. There are these different type of things that are there. So all those of you who are actually interested in enrolling with us, you are most welcome to get in touch with our admin on this number. It's +923458287222. That's what the number is. You can get in touch with the admin on this specific number and you could discuss whatever queries, whatever problems, whatever questions that you have. So that marks the conclusion of the advanced financial management from my side, and I would be happy to accept your questions now. So in case if any one of you has got any questions, you are most welcome to actually ask them. I'll be happy to answer the questions. Yeah, in case if any one of you has got any questions, you're most welcome to ask. I'll be happy to answer those questions. Yeah, anyone having any questions, please, you're most welcome to ask any questions if you have.